I find it funny when people ask for relationship advice. 99.9% of the time, we already have what we think and what we want made up in our minds. And all we really ask other people to do is to validate that. I'm gonna ask you what you think, but I really hope you agree with what I think. So you get all the fun of intervening in people's personal lives without any other risk of doing any kind of emotional or permanent damage. You're just kind of saying stuff. Recently, I was asked my opinion on long-distance relationships. From my personal experience, I think they're a horrible idea. Of course, there are exceptions. There are the two people that meet eyes in the nursery where they're born, and then they grow up and they overcome all adversity, and they go to separate schools, but they still have layers. And then eventually, somehow, they're married, and they're buried next to each other behind a house that they built with their own bare hands. It's somewhere in Savannah, Georgia. That's how I imagine that happening. I think that if you're gonna do a long distance thing at all, best thing you could do is do it later on in your life. Time is the most valuable thing you have. It's not a handbag from Coach or Beats Bedre headphones. It's time. Time is linked with the most important things we have as human beings. Here's my top 3. Memories, or the things that fuel all of your bullshit stories. Experiences, which are the over-dramatized things that actually happened in your stories. And regret, which is what you have shortly after listening to somebody else's stories and realizing that you don't really have any for yourself. When you're young, you have mistakes to make. You have to be kicked out of football games for making out with cheerleaders underneath the bleachers. You gotta be kicked out of bars in New York because you made out with a cheerleader in the bathroom. You gotta learn about how gross it is to make out in public bathrooms. It's disgusting. This is all stuff that's more easily forgivable when you're younger. When you get older, that's just creepy. People are gonna start asking where you got all these cheerleaders from. Gotta make up answers. When you're younger, the dating scene is like a huge house party, and everybody's going a million miles an hour, and they're slamming into walls and shit, and everyone is kind of racing for the exit or to get older, and no one really knows why they want to leave. They just know that they have to go. It's almost like whoever runs the house, their parents called and said they were coming home, but your parents aren't coming home. They're having sex in a bed and breakfast in upstate New York. Real. Anyway, so the kids in the long distance relationships are the ones upstairs who just kind of quietly shut their doors in hopes that everybody will quiet down a little bit after a while. And they retire to their bedrooms and are lulled to sleep by the soft glow of their laptops, and they just keep chatting with somebody who's hopefully doing the exact same thing at the exact same time. I've been there. I get it. In life, no matter what you do or how you try to date or what you want to do for a living, it's hard to know if you're ever really doing the right thing. And the only thing you have to go on is really whether or not you're truly happy or not, or if you think you're happy. If you're happy, you're doing something right. And who am I or anybody else to tell you differently? You know why? It's because that big hypothetical party needs the kids who are going to stop people like me from passing out on the front lawn and drowning in our own vomit because we've been drinking and crying all day because that particular flavor of the week has emotionally broken us in two. We need those kids who may very well be a lot more down to earth than we are and can look at everything with open eyes and open arms and be like, you know, I am getting what I want out of this. And it's hard, but I'm doing it, so fuck off. And I guess some people don't need to take as many risks when they're trying to figure out who they really are. Some people mold themselves more like clay rather than just hack away with a hammer and a chisel like if they were made out of stone. Poetry. So for everybody who's in a long distance relationship and watching this, thank you for watching. Some of you will be happy. Most of you won't. You heard that last part and you're like, I'm the exception. And truth is, you're probably not. But you might be, and sometimes that's enough to give it a shot. Trying and failing is what makes life life. Get your philosophy game up.